Okay, he has. Hello and welcome to ABW Live. Jesus, it's been a while since I've hosted one of these. My God. My name is Kris. I am the Filthy Pirate amongst a galleon of superstars. And I will be hosting tonight's show. So please go easy on me. First things first, before I introduce our guests, at half-time in the game today came something that I've forgotten existed, and I loved it. So when I introduce my guest this evening, I'm simply going to go, "What's up?" Yes, the advert is back. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that advert's back. We can all ring each other and be annoying again. Anyway, enough of that. Right, first of all, I have got with me this evening two fine gentlemen, fresh from his break with the WWE. It's Kevin Owens, otherwise known as Rich. Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Ahoy, hoy. How are you, my man?
I'm good, mate. I'm sure you've heard that one before, haven't you?
Yeah, I do get that quite often, to be fair. Hey, just what people said you look like, I guess.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely, yeah. Fight Owens, fight. It's going to stick. Yeah. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us. And Femi, good evening to you, sir. I haven't got a nick. I can't. I don't know. Is there anybody you resemble? Anyone you want to go by as an alias tonight?
No, I'm good. Definitely not Biggie. Don't worry about that.
Oh, actually, yeah. Now you say it. Actually,
no, no chance.
You shouldn't have said that, because all I'm going to see is that's all I'm going to see now. Right. So thank you for both coming on tonight, both Femi and Rich. So we're going to kick straight in. First of all, listeners, chat box. Thank you for joining us all. Just a little quick roll call there. We got Ann235100. We got Evian. We got some bloke called Danny. He sounds like a bit of a bellend. Bag of Dicks, Thunder Road, formerly knows it, Darren Clifford, Julian Salmon, Carlito Alguna, Zoidberg. There's loads of you all. I'll try and get to a few more of you later on, but thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit different in terms of the structure. Just going to try something a little bit different. So we're just going to kind of keep it a little bit roundtable-ish tonight. So I'm going to jump straight in at the deep end. Femi, I'm going to come to you first of all. Arsenal Football Club won a football match. That was rather nice, wasn't it?
Oh, that was really good. It felt good. That just a relief, isn't it? It felt like a just that you can breathe when that second goal went in. It's like, let's just relax. And then you saw the team even just when the second goal went in, they just relaxed a lot more. The fans were more relaxed. You know, a win is a good cure. An away win as well, I think, really helps. Away win, away clean sheet. I don't think nothing beats that, to be honest.
No, and we laid the ghost of Shane Long to rest as well, which I'm sure we're all pleased about, because when he came on, I just thought, oh God, here we go. So that was nice. You mentioned, yeah, so was I, especially when that shot was blocked by Martinez in the second half, which we'll come on to. But speaking of the team, I'll stick with you for a minute, Femi. Just sort of looking at an overall evaluation of the lineup. We saw Granit Xhaka come back in tonight. We saw Pepe retain his place. Eddie Nketiah returned. We knew that Martinez would play, of course, and Kieran Tierney was back in the side. Bukayo Saka playing central midfield again. Overall, when you sort of saw that lineup, was there any surprises to you? I suppose that the main talking point was the Matteo Guendouzi situation left out for tactical reasons. In other words, he was a bit of a pleb last weekend, so he's rightfully had a bit of a smack upside the head. What did your sort of feelings, thoughts on that lineup, and particularly that three in midfield, because that seemed to do quite well?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the game started as a three in midfield, didn't it? And then all of a sudden we quickly switched to a back three, didn't we? Because Tierney sort of played a left centre back kind of role, and then Saka was playing like a left wing back kind of role as well. So it was a really inverted formation, one that I've not seen from Arsenal before, to be honest. So, you know, you would expect if Saka was a proper left wing back, he'd be taking the throw-ins, but Tierney was taking the throw-ins. You know, those little things that were just a little bit different. So, you know, it was a lot more solid, a lot more compact, didn't give room for, you know, balls down our channels, down our side of the centre-backs. I think it was just a really good formation. It's very different. And then the right-hand side, I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto it. It seems to suffer because we're very left side dominant because of the way that we set up. So the right side suffered a lot, especially today. Don't know how they're going to fix that. But in terms of the tactics, I was just saying to someone in our group, the people that I sit with at the Emirates, that it felt weird to praise Xhaka today. I mean, he just looked like a proper midfield today just because of him, because he plays like a man, like a mature adult. And I just think his performance was really excellent for me personally.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, actually, and we'll certainly dedicate a bit of time to him in a moment or two. Rich, what did you make of the way we started the game? Because I felt like we came out with let's say a point to prove, but we looked like a team that came out looking to start on the front foot. We were closing down well. I thought Nketiah's energy up front, which ultimately led to the goal, which we'll touch on with you in a second, but he looked sort of bright from the outset. The defence held a good line, as Femi touched on there, that sort of three at the back with the floating fullbacks almost. It looked like a side to me that sort of had a bit of a rocket up its bum, shall we say. What was your overall impressions of the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes that we came out the blocks at?
Yeah, I agree with that. It was quite a fluid formation. Let's say Tierney was like tucking in when we was out of possession, and then when we got into possession, he became an orthodox left back almost, pretty much. And Saka was able to get further forward, and which meant Aubameyang was able to get further up the pitch. So it was decent. It was. I love that thing about Nketiah. I love the fact that he works hard. I love the fact that he's closing down. He did it pretty much all game. So it was like, it's what you want to see. Like, so you can't allow players at this level anymore. You can't allow them time on the ball. So it was good to see that we was actually getting after the opposition, actually putting some pressure on. Because like I say, if you allow these players time on the ball, they will hurt you. So it was much more improved. I'm glad that Arteta seemingly is like you said, lit a fire under him. Because I mean, after the Brighton game, so I'm waffling here. The one thing the only caveat that I took from that game was in the post-match interview. Arteta looked seething. He looked so annoyed that we didn't compete, that we were lazy and passive. Not lazy, but passive off the ball. So like I said, even a little bit of improvement today was like I said, just a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we should also give speaking of sort of the lineup and everything, one thing I did neglect to mention was first team debut from the substitutes bench. He didn't get on, but Matthew Smith, the 19-year-old defender, was named on the substitutes bench this evening. And I felt like that was another statement of intent from Arteta to sort of say, yeah, we're a little bit bare bones, but again, he's chosen to drop Guendouzi completely from the squad and brought in a lad who I think it's fair to say most people, excluding George Bird maybe, wouldn't have known too much about Matt Smith. So I thought he was a Blue Peter presenter. So there you go. But good to see him on the bench. Just going on to the opening goal then, stick with you, Rich, first of all. That for me was, don't get me wrong, it's a horrendous piece of goalkeeping. You can't get away from that. But as I think it was Aubameyang who closed down the goalkeeper in similar circumstances last season. I want to say Norwich. I could be wrong.
No, it was
Watford.
Yeah. That's right. Ben Foster, wasn't he? You're absolutely right. What I like, you touched on it there, is Nketiah's energy. He's bright. He's alive. I think the trouble you get, or we have had recently with Alex Lacazette, who obviously I'm a big fan of, when he's not in form, his energy drops and he almost sort of looks a bit like an old man, and he's struggling for having almost his wheels greased. Nketiah has got that sort of energizer bunny about him. He's got that enthusiasm, that lust for wanting to play. And he got his reward for basically being in the right place, being switched on and causing a problem, didn't he?
Yeah, like I said, he was pretty much a nuisance all game. He worked so hard, and you can see why Arteta is picking him. He's not picking him just because to promote youth or anything. He's meriting his place by how hard he's working. Yeah, it was like I say, it was fantastic. It was a terrible. I don't even know who he was trying to pass to the keeper, but it was a terrible terrible mistake. And like I said, you can only do what he's done. He's done brilliantly there. Fair play to Nketiah. Like I say, all that his hard work, that's what you get sometimes. You know, you work hard, and let's say you get your rewards. So yeah, I was more than happy with him. Like I said, we seem to be like every now and again we go up a gear, because I think for a lot of the game sometimes we seemed in kind of second gear, but you could see whenever we went up a gear, Southampton couldn't handle us, but we didn't go up in that gear enough slightly. Like there was a little bit earlier, there was Aubameyang who got played through. It was absolutely brilliant ball by Tierney, and Aubameyang, like, it was a great save from the keeper, and it like crashed off the bar. Every now and again when we put the pressure on and we up the speed a little bit faster, like I said, it caused Southampton problems, and that Nketiah goal was just one of those examples.
Yeah, well said, and you've touched on something I wanted to mention to Femi as well. Femi, you go to a lot of games, or did prior to the world being messed around. But what's your sort of impression? Because to me, Aubameyang, Rich just touched on it there. He had that chance, and although it was a good save, I felt like an on cue, fully switched on, fully focused Alba probably finishes that. I felt he lifted a shot he didn't really need to lift. What's your sort of thoughts on how he's been since he's come back compared to the player that you would have watched pre-lockdown, where he was just tearing everything up? Do you feel like he's playing with a bit of a little bit of focus elsewhere, maybe the contract thing, the sort of the future? Do you feel like his mind is not elsewhere, but just maybe he's not quite clicked since this restart?
I think the word is probably frustrated. He plays like he's a frustrated person. You know, our attack has not gelled somehow. I mean, we have like we said, we had like bits and bobs of attacking play, so he's not as involved as he probably wants to be. I don't know how comfortable or happy he is playing down the left. You could see today when he went when Willock came on, he went proper central, so they were playing two up front, and that's when he seemed to get more involved in sort of the gameplay. He was dropping back a lot into midfield to help as well today, which was a little bit different, because usually he helps on the left hand side, but when they went two, yeah, he was dropping back. But to be fair, I mean, if you look at his contribution in both goals, or even in the second goal, I would say, in terms of the red card, he seems switched on. There was the Emery Martinez ball that went through as well. He was switched on. You know, he seemed a lot sharper today. So maybe it's just a matter of sharpness. And you got to remember as well, he plays 90 minutes week in, week out for us. No injuries. He doesn't pick up any niggles. He's just a phenomenal athlete. That's why, you know, it's going to be a loss if we do lose him, to be fair. In terms of just his athleticism, you know, he's always there. He's always available for us.
It also doesn't help him if the midfield is like so disjointed, because, like I said, against Man City and against Brighton, the midfield was very disjointed. You can only sometimes as a striker, you can only really be as good as your suppliers. And Femi touched on it earlier, with Xhaka in that midfield, it just made it a little bit more fluid. So you see him come into the game a little bit more. There was I think it was a disallowed goal because Saka was offside, but it was like a delicious slide rule ball that Xhaka put for any. That's what we've been missing. That's what someone who I mean I'm not Xhaka's biggest fan in the world, but you've got to give the devil his due. Like I say, you could definitely see what we were missing. And I think that correlates to how the attack will perform, because let's say you need that midfield, that glue, that's everything. That's what everything should function and turn off that. And like I said, you need that midfield working to get the best out of, like I say, Aubameyang and Nketiah, Lacazette, and dare I say it, Pepe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Femi, you want to come in on Xhaka, because while we're in that subject or in that period of time, I genuinely did think he was outstanding today. I thought him and two other players that I'll come on to separately were our best players on the pitch today. But I really did feel like Granit Xhaka was superb today. I thought he led by example. He put his body on the line. His positional play was very good today. He didn't step out of position where he's been caught a few times. His passing accuracy was pretty good. I don't have the stats to hand because I'm not a geek, but Yeah, I felt his distribution was good overall, and he seemed to be in the right place at the right time. What's your kind of thoughts on him? Because it's been quite a turnaround for him, given the fact that this is the player who stormed off the pitch and was seemingly out the door in January, and now here we are, essentially kind of building our midfield back around him again. But it was good to have him back today because he did have structure, didn't he?
Yeah, I think another word that you want to add to that is game management as well. Something that we missed a lot against Brighton. His game management was brilliant today. Held the ball. When we got free kicks, he was telling people to slow it down. He's just a mature player. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if Aubameyang leaves and he's made captain again, I think it's more justifiable this time. He played like a captain today. He played like a leader. You know, we get criticized so much in the media for not having leaders, but today he played like, you know, like a leader. He played like an adult. You know, I'm not having a go at, you know, Matteo Guendouzi, but sometimes he's a bit young and you can see it on the pitch. You know, he's a bit. He loses focus and discipline. You see that with Maitland-Niles when he came on as well. He can lose focus. So we've got a lot of players that seem to lose focus. But Xhaka he's like a predator, isn't he? He's just laser sharp and focused on his task. And then in terms of on the ball quality, like holds on to the ball. He can control the game as well. You know, he's not perfect, but what Arteta has also done is he's moved him further up the pitch. So those silly Xhaka moments that we used to see, we don't see them anymore, where he gives the ball away right on the edge of his box. He's further up the pitch now, so he has less chances of making those silly mistakes as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's a good point on the game management thing, and he's clearly a player that, I mean, I still stand by my views. I think we can do better than him, but and I do think he's limited. But if you get the right partner for him, he's more than adequate for what we need right now. And I agree with the point on Guendouzi. You can have youth in midfield, but what you can't have is a fully youthful midfield. You need some experience. You need that little bit of shithousery, for want of a better word, in that midfield, and somebody who's going to slow the game down and is going to know when to hold their tongue. And I think that's probably the biggest criticism of Xhaka, is that sometimes he does fly off the handle with challenges and whatnot. Thought today he was very measured. Speaking of very measured, Rich, if you look at that first half in particular, I felt like he kind of faded a little bit second half, but Bukayo Saka took a whack early on in that first half. I think all of us thought, oh God, here comes another injury. I thought he'd done his ligaments the way that ankle opened up. This is a kid who is, for me, his reputation is growing week on week. He's proving that he can play in 3, 4, 5 different positions. His energy levels are fantastic. He's a player who he plays with such a maturity, and he plays like a player who's been in our first team for 3 or 4 or 5 years. He's the talk of the contract is ongoing. If he puts in performances like he did again, you know, today for sort of an hour or so, that I felt he was on top of the game. I mean, he's surely got to be a player in the week that we've signed 4 other players to long-term deals. There's got to be all-out attack on getting him signed up, hasn't he, based on performance today and in the 2 weeks since we've been back.
Oh yeah, he was fantastic. I thought today he's so versatile and he can do so many things, but he can do so many things well. It's kind of one thing being a jack of all trades, master of none, but he's so good in so many different scenarios and positions. And he put in such a shift. It was such a heavy workload he put in today. He was fantastic. But yeah, that's got to be a number one priority, is signing that kid up, making sure that he's signed down to a long-term contract. And I thought there was like a journalist, I can't remember who it was, that said that it's looking quite positive that he is going to sign something. I can't remember, it wasn't Simon from Simon Collins, was it?
It might have been our Simon, possibly. I know that our Simon has been saying in the group sort of quietly that things are going well. So he's very much, I think he wants to stay. It's just all about figures and dotting of I's and crossing of T's.
I think Arteta actually briefed the second part of the briefing, isn't it? Because you know, in the evening about 9 o'clock, all the newspapers seem to have they run a story. So yesterday's story was Saka's close to signing a new deal. And then Sammy Mockball was saying that it's literally just a matter of agreeing. But we've seen a couple of instances where this has happened before, and then all of a sudden the agent changes the mind. So until until we see the pictures with the agent and someone standing and Edu standing behind his back holding his shoulder, I don't trust it.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same.
that is a massive priority. Getting that dude locked down to a contract.
Yeah.
He's his development. He's got so much upside and potential. It's frightening that he's not even close to the fully polished article. His upside is enormous. I've got so much love for Bukayo. Brilliant
18.
Player.
I mean, he's 18 years old. Turned 18 in September during the season, so not even 19 for a few months.
And that ability to play different positions. I mean, that's so vital. I mean, I know some people will say it's not a good thing because you essentially get lumbered as your Gramondi, where you can play anywhere. But I think it's really important that you can have a player who can adapt on the pitch in the position that he ends up in, especially if you can play anywhere down that left-hand side. I think that's really important. So yeah, I completely agree. And I think for me as well, the contract would be, it would be a statement of intent. It would be something for the supporters to go, actually, we're building. We are actually building towards
I was going to say that I think it would be a massive boost for the morale of the fans, especially. I think, if it can't be just negatives all summer. If we lose Oba, we've kind of come to an acceptance, I think, especially at the age of 31. But losing Saka would be a massive question mark on the whole club, especially the fan base would not be. It would cause a lot of stir, let's say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Rich, when we going into the second half, obviously we came in at 1-0. I thought we were professional, and I felt we were comfortable without we sort of looked like that team that needed the second goal. Basically, I always felt that Southampton would put up a bit of a fight in the second half, and Julie, that kind of arrived. They came out. They looked at a different side. I thought second half they brought on Kyle Walker-Peters and of course the aforementioned Shane Long. They seemed to change to more of a two-man attack in terms of Femi was kind of drifting first half, but they clearly went with two up front. And I felt that our defence deserves a bit of praise in that second half because quietly Mustafi and Holding, particularly Rob Holding, who I believe got the Sky man of the match, but he was very. I thought those two seemed to be a good partnership, and I felt they were just in the right place at the right time. Holding headed everything away. Both fullbacks, Tierney and Bellerin, were tucking in and protecting their men well. Southampton didn't scare me massively second half, and I do feel like that was largely down to our defence. What was your thoughts on the defensive performance in today's game overall?
Yeah, it was solid. Like I say, it helped that we were quite low. It was like in a low block and it was compact. I said you had Tierney tucking in, and you had Bellerin doing his bit. Who I didn't think had the greatest of games, Bellerin. But he was tucking in. At least he was giving everything. His passing was woeful, Bellerin, but he was giving everything. He was getting back, and he was trying. You can never question the effort on that dude. Yeah, I thought Bob Holding was brilliant today. I thought he read the game very, very well. I thought Mustafi was decent as well. Went fishing a couple of times and almost kind of got caught, but for the most part he was solid. No, yeah. So you can take that. Can't take that from his game completely. He will always be like that. But yeah, no, it was decent. Go on.
I was just going to say, do you know the thing I love about Mustafi the most is that guaranteed, no matter what game it is, he will always make that challenge where he clearly takes the ball, but also takes half the population of the city with it at the same time, and then looks to the referees and say, "But what have I done?" Like every game, like imagine coaching that every week.
My favourite is when he points to the ball. No, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you got nothing, mate.
It's like that hasn't been a rule for about 15 years. You can't go through a man to take the ball shots gone around, but it is almost like telling off a toddler, isn't it? You can tell he wants to do well, and you know what? Fair play to the guy. I mean, he was ridiculed and wrongfully was lambasted, I think, by a lot of the fan base. And I'm not saying he's ever going to be fully good enough, but he's doing a job, and he's come back from probably a place I didn't expect he would come back from. So fair play to him, I would say. We
I think
on the.
Sorry, I was just saying. I think the big difference is when the team presses harder and presses better, shall I say, rather than harder, presses better. There's less pressure on the defence. When the midfield is doing nothing and the attack are not pressing, and we're conceding 27 shots to Watford, the likes of Mustafi and Holding and that are gonna look like incompetent clowns. But if the team works hard and presses and closes down, then it's making the job a whole lot easier for the defence. I think you're seeing a little bit of that, the fruits of that labour, as it were. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, great. No, not at all. It's a point worth making, because the higher you press and the more organised you are, the less pressure there is on your defence. If your midfield are running around like headless chickens with no support behind to cover the defence, then obviously the defenders are going to be under pressure and make mistakes. So I completely agree. And that sort of nicely guides me onto the goalkeeper, Femi. Martinez. Something that I really noticed I watched the game without the fake crowd effects, because I'm just not a fan. Martinez is very, very vocal. I don't know what it's like for you. I don't know whereabouts you sit at the Emirates, but obviously with a crowd, I imagine you can still hear some of the players' shouts. But particularly without the crowds, I felt he was really vocal. He commanded his penalty area today. His distribution, there was a couple that were a little bit, but overall, I thought his distribution was excellent. That pass through to Aubameyang was Edison-esque. And he came up with a very, very crucial save at 1-0, which, let's be honest, that goes in, different game with 20 minutes to go. We could easily have lost that game. His presence and his overall performance today encouraged me. Would you agree with that?
It did. I was worried. It's not that he ever does anything wrong when he plays in goal. It's just he hasn't played enough games. Yeah, well, he's not Leno. He hasn't played enough games. When you got a keeper that's sort of 27-ish age, and he's pretty much the same age as Leno, I guess, and he hasn't played that many games, you're kind of wary. But it's something that we've seen. Remember, we had an Alex Manninger player, in the 97-98 season, and he comes in from the cold, and he just got better and better and better. So it's sometimes it's game time for goalkeepers, isn't it? He might just need a few games, and now that he knows he's number one for the rest of the season, his confidence is going to grow. We're going to see, okay, let's really see if, and then that saves you money. It's not a position that you then need to worry about for a good 2-3 years, to be honest. If you've got two decent goalkeepers that you can rotate with, distribution wise, he was good. He kicked a few out of play, but they were more in terms of he was actually accurately kicking it to a player rather than just pinging it out of play, which you see with goalkeepers, that have good distribution. When they're accurately trying to send it to a player's head, it might just float over, which I don't mind. Held onto the ball, didn't slow the game down, which Leno's a little bit guilty of sometimes. He slows the game down a little bit too much sometimes. But yeah, no, it was a good performance from him. Great save from Shane Long, double save. Strong wrist with the first one, second one got down, scooped everything up. Can't think of many other chances that Southampton had, to be honest. But yeah, just a good mature, good goalkeeping performance, to be fair. He's got his chance now, so just take it with both hands. He's going to play the FA Cup games as well, so just go for it. Yeah.
I hope he does take it with both hands, because coming out one-handed is never good for goalkeepers. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Rich, we saw substitutions I want to touch on, because we saw 4 substitutions in this game before the second goal came and we wrapped up the points. I want to feel free to talk about the goal as well, but just before we do, the substitutions themselves, we saw Joe Willock coming on for Nicolas Pepe, who I thought had one of his quieter games today. It wasn't his day at all. Didn't feel like we've provided him with the ball enough, but it wasn't his day. Kolasinac came on for Tierney, who is clearly sort of struggling with a bit of cramp. Lacazette replaced Nketiah in a like-for-like switch, and Maitland-Niles for Ceballos. what I think is worth pointing out with this, as well as the decisive second goal, was, to me, it proves that Arteta is learning with every single thing he does. I was critical of his substitutions last week. I felt like he was, against Brighton, he sort of threw players on for the sake of it, when we weren't really managing the game. Making 3 substitutions with 5 or 6 minutes to go, I felt was a bit reckless. Tonight, much more organised, much more measured, seemed to be the right changes at the right time, and they led to, ultimately, the red card, the free kick, and the goal. Substitutions first of all, and then we'll come on to the goal. What is your thoughts on that substitution spree, if you like, and how it was organised in this game?
Yeah, it was much, like I say, it was much more measured. I think because, like I said, we still had the 1-0 lead, which was pivotal. We had started to flag out that, to say, Southampton were seeing a little bit too much of the ball, and we weren't closing down as quickly as we were before. So it was the right time to make the changes. When Tierney went down, I was like, oh God, not again! Hopefully it's just cramp, because, like I say, he's, it's how many games since December, so I'm fingers crossed it's just cramp. But again, like I say, Ceballos, again, he was another one who's flagging. I didn't think had the greatest of games today, in my personal opinion. And I thought maybe with Maitland-Niles coming on, the Conservative could do what Saka was doing for Tierney, if that makes sense. Because I did feel slightly bit sorry for Bellerin, in the sense of, down his side he had Redmond and what's the right back's name?
Valerie?
No. The English he's played for England before. No. Down on Bertrand. That's it. Yes, that's the fella.
Bertrand, yeah. Brian Bertrand, yeah.
So he had 2 really pretty decent players up against him. And I thought maybe it was a good idea to have Maitland-Niles in that area to kind of help protect that right-hand side. But like I say, as long as he's learning, it's good to see from Arteta. Because, like I say, I think I do agree with you. It did seem a bit chaotic, especially when they made that mistake when they tried to get Tierney on in the Brighton game, and then they couldn't bring him on, and then they just thought, sod it, just throw as many people as they could, like FIFA style. So it was good. It was measured. It seemed like it had a point, and it had the desired effect, because, as Femi touched on, like I said, when they made those changes, Aubameyang was able to go more centrally, and then Darren, we got the just rewards for the second goal after, I think Højbjerg overplayed it past Stevens. It was a terrible pass.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that second goal. I mean, it was, as you say, it resulted in a red card for Stevens. I think it's the second time he's been sent off against us. He was sent off at the Emirates before. Overplay, as you say, from Højbjerg. Aubameyang was sharp, got on the end of it. I think where Stevens got the red card was that he clearly lifted his leg. I think if he'd have just made the challenge and mistimed it, he might have got away with a yellow. But I felt like he got the red because he clearly lifted his trailing leg to hack Aubameyang after Aubameyang was clearly going to get the better of him. I felt that's what he got the red for. And then as a result of that red card, Lacazette hits possibly the worst free kick I've ever seen him hit in his career. But we get the luck of the draw. His second shot was much more venomous. Again, I feel poor goalkeeping from Alex McCarthy. But Joe Willock was there on hand. Again, good finish. Had to be brave, had to keep his head over the ball, and that secured the points. Nice to see another Englishman on the score sheet. But what's more important, I felt, was that second goal just came at such a key time, didn't it? So we didn't have to be panicking for the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it got rid of the jitters, and it calmed us down. And I think, like I said, Femi touched on it earlier, after that second goal, I know there wasn't a massive amount of time left in it, but we seemed to relax so much more. It was a tough one for Lacazette, the free kick, because it was in that area where it's kind of a little bit too close to the area and to the goal to get up and down and get the whip on it and everything else. His second shot was very, very fierce, but you're right, MacArthur, absolutely. I thought he had a terrible game, MacArthur, thankfully.
He did have a terrible game, didn't he?
He was all over the shop. But it was really great that Willock was alive to prod that ball home. That's what you want to see, not switching off. We've been accused of that in the past, of not switching off, not being mentally prepared for whatever happens. It was fantastic to see from Willock.
Yeah, was it Alex McCarthy or was it Bunn, the other goalkeeper? I seem to remember Oh no, it wasn't. It was the Polish lad, wasn't it, who had him there at the Emirates? Wasn't there a goal that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one that he's played for Celtic, Artur
yeah,
Buric.
Boruch, that's the one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was. Yeah, maybe we were due a bit of luck with that one. And of course, the official Southampton account tweeted shortly before the opening goal, brilliant goalkeeping from McCarthy, and then look what happened. So yeah, somebody was in the John Welsh school of jinxery for that one. Femi, overall, again, feel free to touch on anything that you might want to pick out that I haven't already come on to, but just the overall performance. The word I would go with today was professional. If you just stuck kind of a George Graham-esque figure in the dugout and wound the clock back 25 years, you'd have said, yeah, that's an Arsenal performance away from home. That fills me with a bit more confidence moving forwards. Let's not get carried away, with all due respect, which we all know means no respect whatsoever when everyone says that, but it was Southampton. So I'm not going to go out and put a bet on us winning the Champions League, but we did look fairly solid. We did look organised. We looked like a team that had been properly training hard and were out to make a point, like I said in the intro. And it was just a professional performance from a well-drilled side today. Is that the impression you got overall from the game, albeit against a limited Southampton side?
Yeah, and I'll say something as well. This is going to sound so controversial, but I thought we played all right against Brighton as well. We didn't give up loads, apart from the last 15 minutes. We didn't give up, the usual chance after chance after chance against Brighton. So it's something to build on. It's confidence. We are not good away from home. We have not been good away from home for nearly 4 years now. So you need building blocks, don't you? Today was a strong building block. That's 3 away games in a row in the Premier League. Unfortunately, the Brighton result didn't go our way, but we have to pick ourselves up. Tough away game on Sunday, so that will give us confidence for that. In terms of performance-wise, it's just good to have an adult performance, not just people just streaming at your goal or losing the ball in transition and people just running straight at your back four. Those are the types of things that we were just consistently doing under Ljungberg and on the Emery as well. So it's just good to know that, okay, we can have a building block, we'll get there. We'll get there. I think we'll get there. It's we have to be honest. If we're saying it's going to be a transition period or it's going to be a taking time period, then we just have to be patient. There's going to be ups and downs. I think I read we've got the youngest squad in the league, so it's going to be ups, it's going to be downs. We have to take the rough with the smooth sometimes. But when we get wins like today, we have to enjoy it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right there. That's a very good point. We do. I don't think we should be embarrassed to say we've won a game and we should damn well enjoy it. The Twitter has been a toxic place for a variety of reasons for the past few days or weeks, seemingly, and it's nice to have. It's just nice to sort of kick back and say, yeah, we've won a match, and I genuinely feel like at this stage we just need to focus. We want to focus on the FA Cup game, of course, but just need to focus on taking one game at a time, as the cliche goes, and seeing where we end up. Rich, any other thoughts you want to cover on the game today before we go into a couple of other bits of business? Anything else that stood out for you today, good or bad?
Not really. Like I said, you got the praise for Tierney, holding Martinez. There was a lot of good stuff. There were some not great stuff. Like I said, I didn't think Bellerin played well, and I worried about the lack of control we had sometimes in midfield. But it's all about, like I said, taking it one game at a time and building it and building it and building it. You sometimes you got to crawl before you can run. Let's say we haven't got any fear factor, so teams kind of come after us and try to bully us and put pressure on us. So we seem to, like I say, get a little bit better as the game, like I said, as the game wore on. So just building blocks. All that we need to keep doing. Take one game at a time and just assess it next, and eventually the better we get, the fear will come up to us. So teams won't come after us straight away. They'll stand off us more. We'll have more time on the ball, more time to pick out passes, more time to cut teams open. So it's all about building those blocks.
Yeah. Well said. And Femi, anything else that you took from the game today that you'd want to raise that we, again, positives or negatives? I think the only thing I would touch on as a negative was, maybe Ceballos and Bellerin not their best days at the office, and again Pepe quiet, but it's that team thing, isn't it? As long as everyone's performing to a level and you can get a team performance out of it, that's surely going to bode us in good spirits. Anything else you want to add about today's game?
Yeah, I think we need to do something with that right hand side. I think that's something that there's some things that can be fixed on the training ground. There's some things that can be fixed with transfers. Pepe probably touched the ball 5 times in the whole game today, which I'm sure for him it's really frustrating. We are so left side dominant. It's even worse than the old Invincibles era where we used to have Perez, Colin, and Henry drifting out there. Now it's literally everything goes that way. So I don't know how we're going to fix that, but if you're thinking Ceballos definitely going to be leaving, Hector, hopefully with more games, he'll get stronger. And then we just need to find a way to get Pepe in the game, because we saw today, he was dangerous when he got on the ball. He had a couple of good touches. There was one where he played the ball through to Eddie, I think. Right near half time when he got the ball. There was another one when he was on the left hand side. He could have crossed it in, but you can see that he's dangerous. He needs game time. He'll get sharper as well. It's a work in progress. It's going to be we've got tough games coming up, but if we can play like we did today, we look like we wanted them to come onto us and then spring on the counter attack. If we can get those final balls, those midfield interlinks a little bit better, we can spring out on those, those walls away that we've got to go to, those Leicester teams, Liverpool at home. If we can play like that, then we've got something to build on going forward. Yeah,
agreed. I think summing up, or overall to sum up tonight, we've won a game, clean sheet, 2 goals, not overly worked, no injuries. Happy days. I think that's how I would sum this game up. So that is exactly how I'm going to sum this game up. Right. Around about 10, maybe 15 max left of the show tonight. As I said, I'm in charge tonight, boys and girls. So it's a bit different. So, that's how it is. Well, speaking of different, chat, I've got a deal to put to you. I'll take your questions. I'll take your questions. I will. Some of them. But you're going to have to do something for me. You know what to do. Down the bottom there, little thumbs up, clicky, clicky, clicky. Thank you very much. I'm not going to berate you. I'm not going to be nasty to you. I'm not going to shout at you. We're going to do this the nice way. You click that button, you put those thumbs up, and I'll ask you questions. Julian Salmon, you're up first. Can Cedric Suarez challenge Hector for a first team spot? Can he, Femi?
Yeah. 4-year contracts. Why are you giving a player a 4-year contract if at 28 years old if you don't feel he can do something for you? So, let's be honest, we literally don't have a right back. Would not be surprised to see Sokratis playing right back on Sunday if Cedric isn't fit. So if you've got 2 right backs, then it's a challenge. Now Hector has a challenge. He hasn't really had a challenge in his whole time at the club since he's become number 1 right back. I can't think of anyone who's challenged him. So now he's got a specialist right back pushing him. Competition for places. Man City have it. Liverpool not at fullback they don't have it, but in other positions they have it. Competition. You need players to push players. So I don't see the point of giving a player a 4-year contract if he's not going to challenge for a first team place.
I personally I don't want to stray too much into podcast territory because Danny will fry me alive. But I actually was one of the few people I tweeted to this effect earlier on. I thought the 4 deals we made yesterday or Monday, whenever it was, made sense. David Luiz. Yeah, is he the best defender in the world? No. Is he going to make more mistakes like he has this season? Yes. But is he important to Arteta in the dressing room? Clearly, yes. So to me, 1-year deal, hopefully on reduced terms, I would suggest, but makes sense. Cedric Suarez is, I love how many people have written him off before he's even kicked the ball. He's an international for Portugal. He's a good, experienced player. You know, for me, again, it's a good deal because we haven't had to pay a fee. And the extension of the loan for Ceballos, as you said there, Femi, I think it will probably take him to the end of the season before we make a decision on what to do next. A lot of that will depend on what Real Madrid offer him to us for, if they do or not. And the other one escapes my memory. Who's the other one that we re-signed? Oh, Pablo Mari, yeah, who I actually thought was looking quite impressive, to be fair. I thought he looked like a good signing. And again, people are throwing their toys out the pram because we've signed a player who's injured. Well, what would you rather do? Wait until he's fit and then him go and play somewhere else and be quality? It's 15 million quid in the grand scheme of things. That's not a lot of money. So for me, good deal. Next question. I spotted this one earlier on for you, Rich. Mike Hurt said, question, is it clear that Arteta doesn't rate Ozil? Now, I don't want to go down the big pit and black hole marked Ozil too deep, but he was back on the bench again today. Absolutely no sign of him coming on at any point of this game. Mike's question there about, does Arteta rate him? I think he rates him, but he clearly doesn't want to play him, does he? I don't think he trusts him. What's your thoughts on that? And is Ozil on that bench at the moment for PR only?
I think he's just there as a body, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think that Arteta doesn't rate him because prior to the lockdown and stuff like that, I think he pretty much played every game, didn't he? I don't think Arteta really dropped him, so I don't think anything's changed in that. It could very well just be, you know, that he's the rumours that are going around. He's a new father. His mind's not on the job properly and things like that. Which, you know, it's not great, but shit happens. A human mind is a human mind. Sorry, excuse my bad language. The human mind is a human mind. It can do terrible, tricky things to you. If he's not in the right frame of mind, you know, what can you do? I don't think he's got a problem with him. I don't think so. Like I said, there's no point kind of speculating, and there's no. And like innuendo doesn't really do anything good. To be honest with you, I'm so sick of talking about Ozil. I really, really am. And it's no offense to the question. I'm not having a pop at the question or anything. I just, oh God, every time like, there's a thing about Ozil, even when he hasn't even played, I'm like,
I'll have a go at this one. Sorry to cut you off. I'll have a go at this one. To not do the whole. I don't like talking about it either. It's just pointless, to be honest with you. But the formation that we played before the lockdown, we played the same formation every single week. Pretty much the same team every single week. It was 4-2-3-1, Ober on the left, Ozil in the middle. We are not playing that way anymore. Now he is getting into his team that we're going to be fluid, we're going to be different. Ozil cannot play as a number 8. Let's be honest. He's not going to track back. He's not going to close too much. He might, but he'll switch off. And we are playing either 2 number 8s or, you know, 2 a double pivot and nothing in front. Most teams that are good are playing like that now. Liverpool, City, Chelsea. Most teams are not playing with a number 10. So he's going to find it difficult, to be honest with you, to get back in the team. You know, for everyone's sake, it's better just to move on at this point. Just, you know, just for his and Arsenal. I mean, there's just no. If you're going to play a fluid system, there's no way that he's not going to play wide. It's not going to happen. You know, so where's he going to fit into the team? That's the question that people need to ask themselves.
Yeah. I think you'd have to change the entire formation to kind of get him in there, and maybe play him as like a game. Yeah, which neither looks like it's brilliant they can do.
No, he's
like,
not.
Maybe you could play him at a point of a diamond or something like that. But yeah, just it's. Changing we tried getting him off the books and stuff like that, but no one's going to pay that $350 a week. Like I don't, you know.
No,
can't see him going anywhere.
We would have to contribute. We'd have to contribute towards his wages to ship him out, I think, and you know that maybe that's what might happen in the long run. But as we said on the podcast before, it feels like a chapter that just needs to be moved on from at this stage. I guess we'll see. Thunder Road asked a question that probably I can answer. He said about Malcolm, who we were linked with for ages, who ended up at Zenit, and apparently now is close to a move back to Liga. We missed out on him. That's all I'm going to say, Thunder, because I still think to this day, good player. I mean, you don't get a move to Barcelona for nothing. He obviously didn't succeed there, but he's a quality player, and whoever picks him up will be getting a good player themselves. But that's probably one for another day. I did see another question here that I did want to pick up on, and now I can't.
Speaking of Thunder Road, I just thought I'd show my lockdown beard because he was going on about that in the last show.
It is superb. You've got slightly more grey than me, but I'm catching up fast, so it's all good. Here's the question. The Coltons. Femi, you can have this one. I think that might be John, possibly. That might be the Coltons. And he says, do you put out a full team for the FA Cup or the kids? I say let's go for it. And I would probably agree with that. I'd rotate a little bit, but what would you do, Femi?
Go for it. It's literally we have to do something. You know what? Funny enough, taking Europe out of the equation, which I'm still not sure. I mean, back in the days, it used to be if a team has already qualified for Europe and they made the final, the runners-up go to Europe. But I don't know how it works now. But even taking that aside, even taking that aside, I think those are the types of things that would convince your players about the project, number one, and about signing new contracts. Aubameyang, I heard, has only won one cup in his whole career. Something like that would make him think, okay, maybe we are going somewhere. Maybe this club is going somewhere. Those are the types of things that you have to try. I mean, it did wonders even for Arsene Wenger in the latter days. 3 out of 4 FA Cup wins. It's a cup that we love. We're at the quarterfinal stage. Sheffield United have not come back strongly, and we should just try and press in on them. It's going to be a tough game, but we just have to go for it. I mean, we dominated them at the Emirates and made a mistake near the end, and they came back and scored. So we owe them one. There's a lot of teams that have done either the double over us this season or they've beaten us and drawn with us. So we need to go back and dominate teams. And, we got Norwich the game after. That's a game that you could possibly make a couple of changes, I guess. But I'd be worried about putting Sokratis at right back, which I can see happening. And that's my only change that I can, because I don't think Hector can keep playing this many games. No. And Maitland-Niles clearly is finished at right back. I'd see Sokratis at right back. Tierney probably won't play, so you got a couple of changes, but I wouldn't change too much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Kolasinac, Reece Nelson. You think Lacazette will get another go up front? I would maybe give over a rest, possibly, just in terms of you could play Lacazette and you could play Nelson and Pepe wide and have a bit of natural width. But I think you made a great point about Sheffield United not coming back in great nick. They look like a team who have had a great run and are now levelling out to me. So I think it's a great opportunity for us. The Coltons, it was actually Eric. Hi, Eric. Great to hear from you. Glad to have the question. There's another question that a couple of people have just mentioned. I just want to, I'm going to pick up on two. One was from Nicky, our own Nicky, who said about Saka running into two defenders, losing the ball, and he's saying, should we always stay on our feet? Should we dive more like Van Dijk did last night? It's a great point, actually, because I do feel like we don't go over nearly as easily as we should at times. But hey, I suppose that's just the way it is. But it's a good point to pick up on that, Nicky, because I don't think we necessarily get the fouls we should. But the other question I want to ask you guys, and I'll probably finish on this question actually, is in terms of business. None of us know what we're going to be able to do in the summer. None of us know what sort of money there is. But I tell you a name that when it first popped up, I went, nah. And I think I went, nah, because he's always been linked to that lot up the road. But Jack Grealish is a player I look at. And Femi, you touched on it and said about the sort of the right-hand side. I think, Rich, you said the same as well. Grealish for me is an interesting one because I think you'd probably get him out of Villa for what I would class as a reasonable price. And given we were in the market for Zaha before ultimately choosing Pepe, I think you could probably make a good case to sign a player like Grealish and have rotating wingers and switching the wings each time because he can play down either side. just want to get both of your thoughts on your thoughts on a player like Grealish, and B, if you were in control of Arsenal now, based on the budget we think we've got, what would be the key first area you would focus on at the culmination of this season? Rich, I'll ask you first.
To be fair, I haven't seen massive amounts of Jack Grealish. I always used to think he was a bit one-paced, and I saw him more as a centralised player, almost like a kind of like number 10 almost, rather than a winger. But maybe he's changed his game, and those giant calves are now capable of outlandish stuff on the wing. I haven't seen enough of him, to be fair. In terms of where I would focus the rebuilding, that midfield, I don't think that midfield is cohesive enough at the minute. I'm not convinced of Ceballos. I think we need more athletes, more athletic, strong people in that midfield. Someone like, but I doubt he would ever come. We'd have the funds to get him. I know we keep getting linked to him, but like Thomas Partey and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not a massive watcher of the other leagues. I've always liked. I know it's like he's in a slightly crappier team, but I've always liked Decore in that central midfield area. Yeah, I think he's a good, tidy player. He's strong. He's got great stamina. So it'd be the central midfield was where I would tinker most if I could, because that's where I think our games are being won, lost. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And Femi, what's your thoughts? A lot of the chat are saying that the deal's pretty much done to either Man United or potentially to Spurs if they sold Kane to Man United. So maybe he's not. But I mean, would you go for a Grealish or even that type of player, a wide player, or like Rich, are you more inclined to bolster the centre of midfield or maybe the centre of defence? Where would you focus?
If it's in order, definitely central midfielder, or a tough, athletic central midfielder. We need to modernise our central midfield, going both ways, to be honest. But I like Grealish, to be honest with you. I do really like him. But the thing that you've got to look at with Arsenal is Bukayo Saka changes a lot of options. If he can play that central role, or that left central role that he's been playing, where he drifts out wide, that sort of Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva type role, which they have. David Silva has a similar body shape to Bukayo Saka. He changes a lot of transfer options for you. If you can stick him in there, if he's going to be playing week in, week out. But then you've got the question of if Aubameyang leaves, is then Saka going to be shunted out to that left side, which leaves another space for your central midfield. So, in other words, central midfield. we need a dominant midfielder. We really, really do. We need some athletes in there. We need some players that can go both ways, with no problems, really.
Yeah, we need an explosive athlete in that midfield. It's
a Vieira type of midfielder, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're like stardust, aren't they, Vieiras? But there are people of similar ilk who could do a similar, if not as good a job. But like I said, we need some explosive power, some fast-paced, strong athletes in that midfield.
There's a young lad in France called Eduardo Camavinga who would do a fantastic job, but he's probably going to cost Real Madrid 100 million this summer, so maybe not that one, unfortunately. But I had to just slide in a French reference. Of course I did, it's me. But I think I agree with both your points. I think for me, it will come down to who we sell. And the biggest thing, and I feel for Arteta with this, he needs to know who's signing new deals, particularly with Saka, who he has got to look at building around. If he knows of the players he's got for long-term contracts, he knows he's got, like Luiz for another year, he needs to know who's sticking around for the long term. If he knows Saka's staying, he can go, right, brilliant, that's that position sorted, let's build around that. If he knows Kieran Tierney is our left back for 5 years, great, we've got that. Right back sorted, Hector Bellerin. I think William Saliba, believe the hype, he's that good. Be patient, but he's that good. I think he will play most games from the off, as long as the system suits him and as long as he settles well, I think he'll play most weeks.
So, Kris,
And
what's
then
his injury record like, Saliba?
It's mixed. He did have two injuries last season, which kept him out for long periods, but they were both as a result of tackles. It's not like muscular injuries. He's quite a robust character. He's a good athlete, so I think he's got the body type that will prosper in the Premier League. I think he's a ball playing centre half, so I think he'll be fine once he adjusts to the sort of the pace. That's the biggest thing, because Ligue 1 is a lot slower. But the good thing about Ligue 1 is it's a very physical league. You know, there are a lot of heavy challenges, a lot of heavy pitches, and he'll be used to that. So I don't think he'll be a type of defender where he comes in and gets bullied by Burnley centre halves at a corner, for example. I don't think that'll be too much of a problem for him. The biggest concern I have with him is he's very, very confident on the ball. And I do think, and we're just going to have to prepare for this, there will be a couple of moments where he does try and do something a little bit too extravagant, and you know, people will of course lose their marbles. But I'm not worried about that, because you know, Rafa Varane's widely regarded as one of the best defenders in Europe. He makes mistakes like that. Sergio Ramos, for all of his faults, still one of the best defenders in the world. You know, he makes mistakes. PK the same. You know, you just have to ride the rough with the smooth. So it'll be an interesting summer. I think it will. But we'll see. I guess we'll see. Right, we're going to bring the show to a close there for this evening. As I said from the off, it's been a little bit different. You know, obviously we're here to talk about the game. I just wanted to sort of try a slightly different format tonight and just kind of keep it nice and sort of light, and just talk about a couple of key things that we spotted in the game. So hopefully you've enjoyed the slightly different format. Appreciate it's a slightly shorter show tonight as well, but I've got hoovering to do. No, I'm only joking. No, we just wanted to make the shows a bit shorter and make sure that you guys, now that there's so many different things to listen to and so much football going on, we wanted to make sure that you guys had some content, had something to enjoy, but didn't get bored of us, because I appreciate I'm quite boring, so it's all good. But we will be back for the next game, which is Sheffield United on Sunday afternoon, I'm presuming, is that FA Cup game. Terrible organisation by me. I don't know who's on that show. I'm sure it'll be wonderful people, whoever it is. So do tune in for that one. Danny will, of course, tweet it out. In fact, I can. Oh, there we go. He's ahead of the game. Josh is hosting, so that'll be an awful show. I'm joking, Josh. I love you. But yes, that will be a good show. So do tune in for that. So it just remains for me to thank you, the wonderful chat box. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button and hit the bell notification, because then you get notifications of when we're live. You know we're live after games, but it just helps, and it helps with the things that I don't understand that Danny does. So yeah, just do all that and subscribe in all the usual places. Leave us a rating, drop us a comment, have a go at my DVD collection, which I notice a lot of people have been saying. And no, it's not porn. All right, get your heads out the gutter, okay? I mean, it's kind of like porn. And look, fever pitch, class. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Rich. Pleasure to speak to you again.
You too, Pirate.
Keep the stunners going, my friend. And Femi, I'm never going to get that big image out of my head now. Thank you very much for joining me, my friend.
Take care, everyone. Everyone stay safe.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I echo that. Stay safe. Keep enjoying your football, everybody. And hopefully we will speak to you after a fantastic win against Sheffield United. Danny, switch this shit off.